You followed my cooking school for your family dinners. Next on Martha, how about a little baking lesson for the perfect dessert? My favorite recipe for banana cream pie is now yours. Plus, please welcome Mad Money's Jim Cramer. Next, Martha. And on Friday, actress Marcia Cross and your very own table at Richard Gere's new restaurant. That's a very unusual presentation.
I taught it to him. It was Richard.
Next on Martha. Cultivating and maintaining healthy soil is crucial to the success of your vegetable garden. If you have a large garden or even a tiny little garden behind your house or on the side of your house, healthy soil determines the health of your plants and ultimately your own health. As our garden series continues, today's guest is going to teach us everything we need to know about soil. From the Brooklyn Botanic Garden, please welcome Uli Lorimer. It's very nice to have you here.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, this is a great book. You wrote this book?
I authored one of the chapters.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Healthy Soils for Sustainable Gardens. It is. I've been just reading it before I came on camera here, and it's such a good book.
Yeah, it
really answers questions.
Really full of lots of great information. It's easy to read and easy to understand. Tells you all about what soil's made of, who lives in the soil and why that's important.
Right.
How to assess your soils, and then most importantly, how to amend your soils, and some great tips on some of the difficult problems that you might encounter.
Other than writing, what do you do at the BBG?
I'm responsible for the care and expansion of the garden's native plant collections. I also teach the soil management course and a botany course for our horticultural certificate program.
Oh, great. And I wish I had time to come back and refresh my coursework, because these courses that are available at the BBG and also at the New York Botanic Garden are so valuable.
Absolutely.
And with gardening becoming so much more popular, people are really looking at every available square inch of their yard thinking, how can I make it more productive?
Yeah, it's a great activity. It's good for your health. It gives you lots of energy.
Oh, yes.
And it's really great to be able to connect with nature. I mean, it's so central to us.
So explain to us the importance of healthy soil in our garden, and why, if we can study our soil, how we can improve that soil.
So a healthy soil is really going to build the foundation for healthy plants, like we mentioned earlier. And healthy soils are going to provide all of the nutrients that your plants need, particularly vegetables, and they're going to help your plants to produce really tasty and nutritious crops year after year with very minimal effort and care.
So how do you assess the health of your soil and figure out what type of soil you have?
So there's a variety of techniques you want to use, but all of them really revolve around you getting out into the garden and handling your soil, picking it up, touching it, seeing how it feels in your hands. You want to pay attention to the color. You want to look at the smell of it. It should smell sweet and earthy and fresh. There's also a couple easy tests you can do to gauge the drainage of your soils. If you go out into your vegetable garden, you dig a hole about 1 foot by 1 foot, you fill it up with some water, and then you pay attention to see how quickly the water drains.
Right.
So if it drains within a couple minutes to a couple hours, you've got really good drained soil. If it takes between 2 hours and 8 hours, say, it's moderately drained. And if the water's still sitting there after about 8 hours,
you need to improve it.
Absolutely. It means you've got poorly drained soils.
Right. And things won't live in there or thrive.
Exactly.
So let's talk about these soils that are in front of us. Oh, by the way, in the New York Times today, Ann Raver's column, did you see it?
Yes, I did read it. She talks about soils too.
Yep,
it's great.
She talks about the importance of healthy soil. So it's on everybody's mind, especially now because it's time to plant the peas.
Absolutely.
And I think I have a couple days before it's the Ides of March. Isn't that when we usually plant our peas?
Yes, usually.
Yeah. Okay, so this soil, this comes from the forest.
Right. So the forest soil is sort of our model because it's got really great structure to it. You can see it's really crumbly. It's got these nice little aggregates. It's dark in color, so that means there's a lot of organic matter. and also has a good smell. So these are all good characteristics that you want to use.
Good for those woodland underplantings that you're talking about.
Absolutely, absolutely. So then we have a sandy soil, which when you feel it's going to feel gritty, and as far as the texture, it falls apart.
This one holds together a little bit in your hand, and that's what you want, right?
Yes, you absolutely want it to clump together to a certain degree, because then if we look at our clay soils here.
So what would grow here in the sandy soil?
Sandy soils, I mean, these are soils you'd find out in the desert or near the coast, the east coast, the west coast. For vegetable gardening, sandy soils aren't really that great. So
for tomatoes.
For tomatoes, I mean, it has good drainage, but it doesn't hold on to a lot of nutrients or organic matter.
Oh, no, this stuff, that's the soil I don't want.
Clay soil. So clay soil, you see that it's dense, it's lighter in color, it doesn't smell really great, and it forms these really thick clods and sausages.
Hard to dig, hard to plant,
absolutely.
Hard to drain.
Particularly in the summertime when it gets really dry, it's almost like concrete. It's really hard.
Yeah, so we have to fix that if we have that.
Absolutely. Then we have a loamy soil, and this is sort of your ideal soil for vegetable gardens. Again, it forms clumps very nice and easily, but it's still crumbly. It's got a great dark color to it, good texture, good smell. So this is sort of your ideal soil.
Right.
And then last we brought a potting mix, because I realized a lot of folks might not have a backyard garden, so you can also grow vegetables in containers and window boxes. Potting soils are light, they're airy, they have good drainage, they have good water retention, but they lack really in organic matter, so that's something you're going to want to add later on.
So you'd add compost to this, you would add, it has vermiculite in it, or perlite.
Yes, so that's for structure, so that it doesn't get compacted. Peat moss to hold water, and if you're going to grow vegetables, you want to do like a 1-to-1 mix of compost.
So what are the ball jars for?
So the ball jars this is a really easy test that you can do at home to gauge what kind of soil you have. And so you take a ball jar, you fill it up with about 1/3 to half of
your soil.
Of your soil. You fill it up with water, and it works on the premise that soils are made up of 3 different particle sizes. Sand being the heaviest, and the largest, then silt, and then clay is the smallest.
And you just leave it like this?
No, so what you do is you shake it, and by mixing up the soil, you're able to separate out all of the different particles. And because sand is heaviest, it's going to settle down to the bottom. Now, we've got a jar here that we did about 3 days ago, so it's had a chance to settle. And you can see that all the sand is on the bottom, followed by the silt layer, and followed by the clay. And so it's a really sort of a rough way for you to gauge how much sand, how much silt, how much clay is in your soil.
So that's too sandy, would you say?
This is actually the loam soil here, so it's about 50% sand. So that's good because it's got good drainage, which you want. And then there's a fair amount of silt and clay as well. And then you can see there's a little bit of organic matter that's floating up at the top. So this will continue to settle after a little while.
That's a very good test.
So it's really easy to do. You can do it at home.
When we come back, Uli's going to show us how to make your soil healthy by adding amendments. Stay with us. Okay.